Hi, Nils. Thanks for joining us again for the podcast. So last time we talked a lot about integration and the main themes around integration. Why is it important? Why is it important to get support? I'm looking forward to your questions today.
I have plenty new ones.
Amazing.
So following up on our previous discussion, we talk about peak experience, we talk about full integration, and even the work that goes with integration. And there is something that often people discover, and it's super not comfortable, which is the in the between. So what is it, and why is it so challenging for people?
Right. So in the between is actually what we call liminal spaces. And I'll explain what that means a little bit. So when you are going to sleep, for example, and you're just about to doze off, your brain waves changes, right? You go into deeper brain waves. And when you're in full sleep, if I'm not mistaken, it's called gamma wave. So you're in deep sleep. As you start waking up in the morning, just as you just woke up and before you start jumping around and doing your things, your brain is also still getting out of those deeper brain waves and is into that liminal space where you're very suggestible, very soft, very mellow, and not yet fully engaged with the logical prefrontal cortex, the logical mind. And this is why we say if you want to do the best kinds of meditation is actually in that period of time, just before you wake up, before you start looking at your phone and stuff like that. This is the prime time to meditate, as is also a good time to meditate just before you go to sleep, if you can help yourself to not fall asleep, which happens to me often. So this is what we call the liminal space, the space where you are in a state of high suggestibility and malleability. So after peak experiences, during peak experiences, your prefrontal cortex slows down. So the activity shuts down almost, and the other parts of your brain are kind of like communicating with each other in beautiful ways that they don't normally get the opportunity to do so in a normal awakened state. So your brain becomes very suggestible, and this is why you're able to access different parts of reality which you don't normally access in a usual waking state. When you are coming out of that experience, your brain and it depends. It could be for a few days. It could be for a few weeks. Typically, we say for the first couple of weeks, that liminal space is where you are still a little bit there, remembering a lot of things, trying to make sense of it, and a lot of connections are being made. And this is the prime time for you to do as much integration as possible. Write down all your insights, anything that you notice in your reality that's coming up, make a note of it, because this is the time when your brain is giving you the gift of, hey, rewire, like change the things you don't want to keep anymore, improve, enhance. This is the prime time. So this is what we mean by the liminal space, by that in-between space.
Great. So let's get back to the peak experience. When you have that peak experience, you get such a level of clarity, you change the way you look at things. And somehow, after that, maybe that in the between, that liminal space, that peak experience memory start fading. And a lot of us, lots of people are mentioning that they're getting confused, or even more challenging, they have really strong raw emotions coming to them. Why is that? And how people can manage it in the safest or in the best way?
So why is that? It's simply because a lot of things have been unraveled and released and healed. So remember in the last episode, we talked a lot about when you are in a non-ordinary state of consciousness. I mean, most of us access those states to heal. You're healing not just in your mind, not just in your brain, but also at the somatic level, at the emotional level, even at the fascia level. So there's a lot of healing and a lot of things that were clogged there before, especially emotions, things that we never said, emotions that we never expressed that get clogged. And during the process of healing, it's unclogging. It's like cleaning up a pipe. That's the metaphor I usually use. You're cleaning up, you're flushing the pipe. It's an industrial cleanse, and therefore a lot of things are going to move around because you're cleaning. So particles are moving. There's a lot of healing that's taking place at the bodily level as well as the mental level, at the heart level, the energetic level. So things are moving, particles are moving, and therefore emotions are high because emotions are also there, stored energetically. So they're all just like there in like moving around and a lot of things that you haven't allowed yourself to feel before, or a lot of things that you've suppressed before has come up. And this is why people feel very emotional. And this can be so beautiful as well, because especially if we haven't learned to express our emotions before, the moment you open the floodgates, all of it is just there staring at you and begging to be felt. It can be very cathartic if you allow yourself to feel it all. And it can be very painful as well, because if you haven't allowed yourself to feel the pain or grieve, and now you're grieving, the best thing to do is just allow it to be. Grieve, keep grieving, keep feeling the pain for as long as it needs to be felt until it transmutes. Because there is an end to it. It's not going to keep going for eons and eons. It just needs to be released. And similarly, it can be super cathartic because emotions such as love or, very beautiful joy that you forgot to feel, and you felt it when you were a baby, you felt it when you were a kid and jumping the mountains, and you know these emotions. All of a sudden, that's now to the surface. It's so incredible to finally feel. So this is what's happening in this space, and the smoothest way to get through it is to feel it all. And sometimes, sometimes it takes conscious and intentional space to feel it all. Like, I know for myself, for example, I will go to the bathroom and just cry in my bathroom for a long time because I don't want my kids to be now worried what's happening to mom, or, sometimes I just close my door and I just let myself. And a couple of times my son walked into my room and he was, "What was happening to you? Are you okay? Should I make you some tea?" And he was like, "No, it's okay. I'm just allowing myself to feel." And it's incredibly releasing. It's such a human thing. If you think about animals, for example, right? If you think about a gazelle being chased by a cheetah or a lion, the body's going to go. The body's going to go into flight or freeze. The animal will release adrenaline, they will run away, and they will escape the danger. And after that, after the lion is now far away, the gazelle is not sitting there thinking, I should be very angry with this lion, and I will remember him, and next time I'll try to trap him. No, the gazelle is like, okay, danger's gone, release, and hop around and look for food. So animals are constantly releasing immediately after a stressful event. We, on the other hand, we think we need to accumulate and keep it. And therefore, once we open the gate, it's all coming out. To let it come out.
So let it come out, stay with it.
Yeah,
you were saying
absolutely.
crying can be healing also.
Or anything. It can be screaming, shaking. Sometimes we need to, sometimes for me, for example, going to a yoga class or doing a breath work will help to release that even more. So it depends. Different people have different way of releasing. The point is allow it to come out.
You were mentioning that experience where your son, your family might come and might ponder, might question, might wonder what is happening. And in your example, your son was carrying and bringing you that tea that I found beautiful. Still, some others might have some experience where they go back to their family, to the environment, and that environment do not recognize the new person who shows up. So how would you recommend that to that person, or to someone facing that, how to accommodate, confront, mirror, whatever might suit that situation for continuing the integration, because I would say it's part of the integration.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, a lot of inner work, a lot of shadow work, a lot of people go within themselves to heal family trauma, generational trauma. So now that you have to go back to the same context, it's like, okay. But remember that when you shift, others, it has a ripple effect. So others immediately feel, they might not cognitively know it, but they will feel a shift as well. And as you start changing small little things like having clearer boundaries, or repairing faster when somebody's been triggered and you've been angry, go and repair faster, or just telling your family members, I've just been through a very intense experience and I need some time, and you know, I'm not sure how this will feel for myself in the next few weeks or days, and I would love your support. And when I'm ready, I'd love to share that more with you. It's not always fun and roses, and it's not always accommodating, because people might say, there you go again, you being spiritual, or here she comes again, with her woo-woo talks. You might get a lot of sarcastic comments and stuff, and that's part of being human as well. Like, the world is going to be what the world is. But at the end of the day, you've shifted. So stay with your changes with integrity, and keep the changes for as much as you can in the smallest ways possible. Sometimes your family might not be helpful, so you go to a friend, you go to a coach, you go to a community that has been there, that has seen it, that has done that can hold and listen and allow you to share your experiences and contribute to that. So it depends really. But ultimately, it's a question of, as you shift, your relationships will automatically shift. If you don't want that to happen, then don't do the work.
Still, those type of experience can happen in any situation.
Yes.
I was just doing my first ever meditation, and I had such a tremendous shift. So that could happen to anyone and anywhere.
Yes.
It being there, what would you tell to people how relationship could evolve with their family, their spouse, their direct family, their friends, their colleagues? Is all relation to be salvaged? Some should be shredded. On our previous discussion, we were mentioning some activity that will be pruning, but also some activity will be new inside. So yes. What do you keep, what do you let go?
So I don't think I have the right to say what do you keep, what do you let go. However, there is a bit of keeping and letting go that will happen. Some of it will happen naturally, fast and automatically, and some of it will require the integration work and the choices of how do I now approach this relationship. And I've been through this many times. I have changed my relationship with myself first and foremost, and my outer relationships have shifted as well. It hasn't always been easy. It has not always been easy, because it's been, sometimes you want to cling to the same relationships in their original shape, because it was kind of serving a purpose for both of you or whoever's involved in that relationship. But ultimately, if you want to be true to your changes and what you really want to be, there is some relationships that will naturally fall away or will need to be redefined. And you may be ready for some friendships or relationships to dissolve, mm-hmm. and some new ones to form, some new friendships to form. I mean, you will start attracting people that are also transforming and discovering and ready to unravel. And that's, as you lose, you'll also gain. And sometimes your circle might become smaller, and that's okay. The interesting thing and the good thing about it, I think, is that it won't be as dramatic or as terrible as you think. Because with a new state of awareness, you will understand faster why certain relationships are shifting. And it therefore becomes easier to accept as well and lean into it.
True. And some might dissolve on their own. The other might leave without necessarily you initially understanding why.
Yes.
And continuing that work, understanding that there were misalignment that just unfold itself.
And I would always say, we would be surprised to how much people are ready to accept upgraded versions of us. Mm-hmm. And I've experienced it in my own family. I am amazed at the expansion of heart and acceptance from people that I was like scared to talk about with this. And I was like, maybe they'll never get it. And they don't have to get it. This is the thing. Love is not about understanding every single thing that your spouse is going through. They have their own journeys. They have their own path. But it's about learning to love them, even if they are shifting and changing. And you would be surprised, we have an amazing ability to expand our ability to clear the ground, to love others.
So true. Integration process is something that takes time, patience, that's your word. It was your own word. And within that framework, last time you used an expression, I want you to go back to it and really provide more insight. Inner architecture. What is it? Why is it important?
So inner architecture is literally our conditioning, in simpler words. And what that means, it's everything that has held us together. So beliefs, social systems, what we've learned from others, what we've learned from our own experience, the ways we've learned to keep ourselves safe, the ways we've learned to feel socially acceptable, the ways in which we recognize when we've gone a little bit too far. It's all our patterns, all our behaviors, and it's the thing that makes us feel like who we are or who we think we are. So the inner architecture is that. As you do more and more shadow work, and as you become more comfortable with non-ordinary states of consciousness, where you will be exposed to different aspects of yourself and of others and of the world, you realize a lot of things. You may start realizing there's no others, for example, and I won't go in more detail in that, but you might realize, what I thought I was, or I thought this person was like that, or that person was like that, is not actually the case. And it's all happening within me. So your inner architecture then starts changing because what you knew changes. And part of the integration process is to rebuild that with a lot of love, with a lot of care and patience and understanding, and knowing that even that you're building. You're still building, you're still conditioning. A lot of times we think we go to these amazing plant dieters, for example, and we come back and we lose all our conditioning. Absolutely not. We're still conditioned. We're just putting another set of conditioning
we redefine
over them. We redefine them. And there's nothing wrong in that, because this is how we function in the world as we know it. But we can also function in the world as we know it on different planes and in different moments and for different intents. So part of the work is to build new things and let go of things that don't serve where we want to go anymore.
Clear. To conclude, you were mentioning integration process. Integration work is important, and you can start doing it on your own. Then there is some moment where you might struggle and see someone of comfort, family, possible, friend, potentially better, and also integration coach. How, let's say it's my first experience, how can I know when to do what?
So typically, my suggestion would be, before you even make the decision of going to a very big experience, And sometimes you might know, sometimes you might not know, right? Because every experience is different. Think about your intent. Intent is key here. Why am I going for it? And what do I want to get out of it? And who can help me before, during, and after? So before and after is where an integration coach can really support you, because they can help you craft your why you're going to that experience and what you may need after, either immediately after, and we call this crisis support, or over a period of 3 months or 12 months or however long you need. I have seen sometimes people who used to be on SSRIs that have stopped for a period of time, gone through, for example, plant medicine experiences, come back, felt totally overwhelmed, and gone back to antidepressants immediately. And for me, that's a waste of money, energy, and a waste of everything. Because had that person had that support before and after, I am pretty sure, and I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not making big claims, but I am very, very sure that they would have had more time to land their insights in a more sustainable way. But very often what happens is we focus on the experience and then it's goodbye. And most people report that the hardest part is going back to normal life. What do I do with it, and how do I work with this? Most people would tell you that the after is harder than actually the doing. And that's the same with other experiences, such as past life regression therapy or out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences. It's after the experience that all of it hits you, right? That's where you need the most support. So my suggestion is consider that before you even pick the phone or make that email or pay. Check who can help you and approach those people and build a plan, because it helps. It helps a lot.
That will be part of the framework somehow.
Correct. Learning is not an event. It's a process.
Clear. Thank you for those insights, and I really hope it will help others. And that could have helped me long ago, decades ago, but now there is a different way of doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nils. Thank you. Lovely to have you. Thank you.